the price of Bitcoin doesn't change much these days, and we will of course return to the technical analysis and say a couple of words about this in the end of the video. But well, let's start with the news, and there are actually a lot of things happened, and although it's maybe not that dramatic, I mean, those events, but still it's interesting to observe the development and things which are happening in the space. So here's the article on Forbes. So you can see again, huge mass media is continuing to supply the information about crypto. Here's the data, why the Bitcoin is better than the other crypto assets, and they of course referring to the digital gold as usual. And basically what they say is the most important thing about the Bitcoin comparing to the other currencies and why they are better is that we have the soundness and stability, which is like crucial factors for Bitcoin. Of course, we have to have a sort of trade-offs, like a privacy transactions are not really applied on Bitcoin and everything, but see, those major things are still the most crucial for being the best means of the value, like the store of value instrument. That's why they claim that Bitcoin is the best among the others. And I would like to pay attention on the last paragraph here. Although progress may seem like it's moving at a snail's pace from an outsider perspective, there has still been plenty of progress made in the development of the Bitcoin protocol over the years. For example, the Lightning Network and the progress of privacy-related development for Bitcoin, such as Schnorr signatures and Taproot during his appearance on Monero's talk. So those two things, Schnorr signatures and Taproot, are something which we shall pay attention to. Everybody know about the Lightning Network, but these two things, not really. And actually, in order to fully understand what is that, you need to be quite technically savvy and understand the Bitcoin code and everything on more or less deep level. But generally, to have a grasp is that for the Bitcoin, you can have a set of the sort of algorithms and sort of features for the code which allow you to increase the way of sort of flexibility and adding additional functionality of Bitcoin within the code, right? Using the code. So in a Taproot is sort of a development, I wouldn't say a soft fork probably, but sort of a development of the code which connects several features such as MAST, Merkleized Abstract Syntax Tree, and Schnorr. And by using that, Taproot is actually there is a sort of another step forward from the Taproot, which is called Graphroot, delegating signatures, which are allowing near infinite spending variations. So in Taproot on Bitcoin allows for smart contracts constructions to look like regular transactions on the blockchain, as long as all participants agree on the outcome of the contract. A cooperative clause, the clever combination of Schnorr and MAST, offers both data efficiency and privacy. So you see that in fact Bitcoin seemingly to be sort of immutable and basically fixed and constant. It's actually continuously growing and developing, and there's indeed quite of the progress of its functionality by many means. And there's another, well, just pay attention to these guys, and this is my point. And another thing is that you actually should realize that all those things, all those developments of the Bitcoin are happening by the efforts of sort of quote-unquote independent developers, and they are sort of decentralized again as soon as the Bitcoin is decentralized as well. But the question is, which one may ask, who is the entity or the organization or groups of people who are paying for those developers and coders? Because of course apparently not all of them bought Bitcoin, like 1,000 Bitcoins per $1 long time ago, and now they can do everything they want. Of course they need to be paid. So who is paying to them? It's a big question. There are some information about that, but just ask yourself and think in this way. And also, as soon as Bitcoin is decentralized, then how just a very few talented and educated people who are knowing how to make those changes in the scripts, in the core algorithms, in core code of Bitcoin can actually tune it in the way they want, in the way they think is reasonable. Of course, you need to have a consensus and everything, but they submit the possible changes. So I'll just think about it, nothing more. That's all I want to say. Okay, and continuing with the news. Bitwise files for the newest Bitcoin ETF with SEC. That was from January 10th, and we already talked about this before, just as this news appears. But now we have a sort of a new update of that. So they are doing paperwork, and they actually are continuing their efforts. And this wasn't cancelled or somehow ended by the shutdown, or as previously happened with the VanEck SolidX ETF. They still want this ETF being approved, but there is no such like a finite date or something like when they should be approved or disapproved. So it's still the long-term process, but on the other hand, we have another player on this field, and maybe a second ETF could be launched in 2019 even. We'll see. Quite interesting partnership with Dukascopy Bank with Bitstamp, and what they say is that they are making their clients possible to send Bitcoins to their accounts, and the crypto will be converted to dollars, which they can use to trade on the Swiss FX marketplace. So basically another huge move with the Swiss bank. Another Swiss bank in Switzerland seem to be again in this area quite of the first mover. So nice, not bad. And you see how another block in the infrastructure development appears. One more news, and from JP Morgan, as usual, we have quite of the negative sentiment. Blockchain adoption tepid and interest in Bitcoin waning, says JP Morgan analyst. So basically what they say is that with this sort of the price action, which of course affecting the adoption and interest to Bitcoin, we have quite of the low of level of interest, and they again refer to those price levels which may happen like 2,400, 1,260 and so on. So I would say quite of the speculation as usual, and well, I mean in sort of those sort of negative statements about crypto and Bitcoin in particular, but you know, people are reading. And speaking about JP Morgan, another one, Bitcoin is worth less than the cost of mine it, says JP Morgan. On the other hand, it's actually a sort of a positive thing, that it means that we can't stay that low for long. The average value of the mining is like 4,060 as they state, but some of the areas could be used for mining lower, like 2,400 as they say, or even lower. So maybe we can still hold at this level, which actually is sort of not that great for some of the miners. But if we will go even lower, then a lot of the miners will be in a trouble, except just a few with the best profitable areas for mining. So, and what they claim is that we need to consider some possibilities of the drops, of course, and just be careful and like everything can happen, basically what they say. But you see, again, it's sort of adding some of the FUD to the space, preparing people to panic sell if the price will go down. Well, who knows? We'll see. But I can't argue with that. Maybe it will happen indeed, but just don't be overly affected by these articles. Don't let your emotions to drive you. Again, Bitcoin volatility slams to lowest in 2 months. And in fact, you remember what happened when the volatility of Bitcoin was that low, well, very, very low in the beginning and the end of, not the beginning and the middle of November. And basically what would happen is that we fell down from $6,000 to $3,000. Now you see we are continuing to go lower and lower and lower. So if it will continue and we again reach this point or something close to that, it's very likely that we will have another leg down or up. It's not clear because again, there's no like a exact indication of the further drop. Maybe we actually need to go up because the previous drop was quite strong, so we need to compensate it with the rise. So we'll see, but anyway, we're continuing to approaching the pivotal point in some way. So maybe a month or two according to this trend, and we will see something interesting in the market. The future of money, from cryptocurrencies to money over IP. And again, the article from Forbes. Forbes is continuing to drive the attention from the newcomers to crypto about why cryptocurrencies is good. You can look at the history of money and electronic cash and cryptocurrencies as the final sort of the evolutionary step in this. And basically what they say that we can have some of the new approach in money and types of money like it was with voice over IP and Skype and so on, and now we can have money over IP. So we'll redefine money. Could be indeed. So quite positive from Forbes. A lot of the positive articles from Forbes these days. So probably they invested in Bitcoin quite a lot. But speaking about investing, I wonder how much JP Morgan invested in Bitcoin and crypto, because spreading FUD is the best way to buy cheap. Another one, Peter Brandt. You know probably that guy's pretty much famous in the crypto space. So basically what he said that we can have 50% chance of Bitcoin becoming worthless or reaching $50,000. But on the other hand, he said that we can have the sort of like 5 years sideways trend as we see for gold. And if this happened with Bitcoin, how many people, even Bitcoin maximalists and enthusiasts, how much will they many of them will continue storing and using Bitcoin and working in the space. Maybe quite a lot will leave. And what they say there are 3 negative features of Bitcoin charts this time. The weekly trend is down. The market lacked of ability to complete head and shoulders bottom when it had the chance. Well, actually inverse head and shoulders, I guess he meant. The daily moving average line has turned down in slope and closed below 3,400, lowered from the last week's number. So indeed we have sort of this, and also he mentioned this channel forming, downwards channel, descending channel. So yeah, he has a point, and we are indeed going down and sliding, so it's sort of in downwards. But you know, there are of course the counter arguments, and this brings us to the discussion about the price. So basically, since the price didn't change much and basically the trend is the same, I would stand on the same opinion which I made before. There are strong indications of the possible rise instead of fall to the new low, and you can refer to one of the previous, actually few previous videos about why, where I talk about why this is reasonable, why this idea is relevant. But what is really interesting, you see, actually I have pretty much the same channel picked up like on the previous chart we saw from Peter Brandt. Here it is, here this one. So basically we are thinking in pretty much the same way, but on the other hand I would say that this inertia, this momentum of the drop was sort of dissipated during this sideways price action, and it is more likely that, in my opinion, that if previous long price action, sideways price action was the accumulation to the short for all the shorts of huge players, then this may be accumulation of the longs, because otherwise why they would not drop price even lower, at least sooner. So I mean, of course there could be a sort of the resistance of the bulls at this point, but you see actually the volume here was not that huge. It was not so hard to push the price lower, but they didn't. It seemed like they didn't want to scare off the majority of the people here, so maybe they will push it lower to and collect the most of the things around here, most of the liquidity around here. And in fact there are there is like at least two groups of people with different standpoint on this issue, and I would like to mention some of the altcoins. Actually, a lot of the altcoins behave in the same way, but there are two ways of thinking of that. So of course bullish and bearish, but just try to follow what I'm trying to say. Basically we had the low, for example this is Cardano, we had the low and now we're climbing up and up and up slowly with the pullbacks, not so huge though, and building some sort of support, some basis on each and new level. The thing is, if you are considered the first group of people who are considering that this was the low, and they are thinking, okay, the price will go higher from now on, we will not reach this low, we need to buy somewhere at this area before the price went up. And if here they considered, okay, we need to pull back somewhere around here maybe in order to have a better price, so we'll wait and until the price will go higher. So the price went a little even higher without this pullback. So they said, okay, maybe we will not buy here because it's even more expensive, but we are already ready to buy in this area again. So if the price will go back, we will buy this area and then we can continue our long position. But the price doesn't do that, and if the price will continue to climb, those people will be out of their long position. So eventually they will buy at some point. At this point, when the majority will buy, the price can go down and those people will be in a loss, and the majority of the people will lose their money, while the huge players will of course gain their liquidity. Another way of looking at this is that if you think that this wasn't the real bottom, that the bottom is actually will happen eventually, what you can think is, okay, I would like to buy lower than this, and you see that the price continue to grow. You see, okay, the price went up, well, it will go down. Price went up, and you think, okay, it will actually go down. It's just like correction, and then price again went up even more. So you will continue to think that the price will go even lower, and you don't want to buy. But price doesn't let you any indication that you are wrong, because it's still very slow and sort of how to say that, not confident, right? Not confident move, not confident trend. And you would think, okay, I will still continue to hold my standpoint that it will go even lower. I will not buy, and I will not change my mind. But if you will not buy this trend, then price may actually not continue to return to this level at all. So, and another group of people who are shortest, as I said, they may again to be out of the position. So thinking of the situation in these two ways, you may explain how the further development of the price will happen, how the price will evolve, depending on which way the sentiment of the market will incline. In my opinion, it's all just about the supply and demand, and now we are in sort of situation when just basically market cannot decide which group of people is bigger. But you see, again, I drew this triangle around here, there's 4 triangles, and all of them broke, or actually evolved, developed quite, I would say, without confidence, and not strongly, not with some kind of breakouts, but just some, okay, we made this narrowed range, let's go to another level, made narrow range, okay, let's go another level, let's return back. Sort of boring and weak movements of the price, moves of the price. So all of that indicates that the both bulls and bears, they're sort of tired and want to see the opponents move first to react. However, again, we are in the same descending channel. We are continuing to make well, more or less on the bigger time scale lower lows, and starting from this at least, and as soon as we are continuing, bears are in a favor. However, saying that, I must mention that I must pay attention to the certain levels, and before we will reach those levels, I wouldn't be really bearish. So for example, this 3,450 is quite an important level, and again, this blue line, support line, as soon as we are not below that, and as soon as we are not below this dark blue line, that basically means that we are still in the quite of the situation when the both ways are really possible. And before reaching the minimum, previous minimum, there is no way, no reason to panic, although of course volume is decreasing and so on, but still nothing to be said about the defined bearish scenario around here. So that's my standpoint. It's not really clear, as you see. I'm basically out of the trade, but you know, the hardest thing in trading is wait. So sometimes you need to stay away of trading and see how the things are evolved. So far, if you made some trades, stick with them, stick with your plans, and safe trading, guys. I hope it was useful, and thank you for being with me within this video, watching this, and maybe I will see you tomorrow with the next update, as I'm doing them daily for you. Okay, goodbye.